have a very entertaining episode today. We're going to be talking about different monsters and entities from famous horror movies. And we're going to be discussing from a demonologist and exorcist view of how we would approach said entities or monsters if we were in the same plot line as the movies. Are you ready for this?
A bump in the night, a ferocious fright. You grab your oracle cards, the Ouija board, and knock at the door. You've heard this before. Welcome to High Strangeness, with your host, Sadhu Dam and Sifu Aman Berry, diving into all subjects spiritual, paranormal, metaphysical, answering questions from students and listeners, and providing expert discussions on varying topics pertaining to high strangeness.
Are you ready for this, Amon?
I'm not ready, but I'll do it.
The Grudge, also known as Ju-on. In this movie, if I am understanding this correctly with my lore, we would classify the lady, the little grudge lady with the black hair, we would classify her as a revenant wraith.
You can also classify her as a hungry ghost.
So in this case, we would say kind of a hybrid classification.
Well, look at its behavior. Its behavior is very focused on gaining prana, right? All of its behavior is focused around, it's essentially a form of a vampiric wraith. If you look at what it did to people, it would literally drain their life force dry to the point where they kind of pruned up. That's how it killed. That's clearly pranic draining.
This is true. What about the little boy? What I always found interesting is when you see the creepy little boy, he always makes that cat sound. He doesn't speak. He makes the cat sound.
Sure.
And that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was the very last sound he heard as he was being drowned, was the cat screaming. So that was essentially imprinted on his ghost spirit.
Yeah, it imprinted itself, and that's also a form of replay haunting or echo haunting or death echo, right? The kid was so traumatized that his psyche is just repeating the trauma of his death, and he's being used by another force in order to lure other people to a similar fate, right?
Yeah, and he never actually attacks. He's more of the jump scare and lead you over here, a bait and switch kind of. I believe in one of the movies, it might have been the first one, he materializes as an actual little boy as he was when he was alive. And it's to garner the sympathy and to draw the person to come and help them, which leads them into the attic, which opens up the haunting, and everything spirals out of control. Yeah, exactly.
Fuck, man, like that haunting was a mess, right? It was because like the dude killed his whole family, killed the kid, killed his wife, threw his wife down the stairs. Her jaw was all like, and she was all like, and I'm all like, fuck. Like the bitch comes to the TV, I'm just bam, right back in the TV, right back in the TV. Just get state.
That's Samara. That's the Ring.
All right, same deal, kind of.
What I find very interesting is it's a land-based home haunting. However, once you make contact, then it is able to hitchhike and is able to follow you anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this entity more dangerous, because what we're looking at is, if you notice in the movie, that it will target someone, and then immediately after it targets someone, it'll jump to the next person, and they don't even have to go to the home at that point.
What? Well, why would they? It's very clear spiritual contamination, right? It's demon shit 101. if your shit's fucked up and you got some shit in your shit, and like you get in rapport with another dude, and they have a similar like frequency, you can be like, boom, and then they now have the shit. but you also might still have the shit. It's like terrible STDs.
At another part of this movie that I find a little bit of extreme as the approach goes. They chose at one point to burn the house down, thinking that would completely solve the haunting.
I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
If the entity is no longer dwelling in the home and is attached to the person, and you destroy the house, you destroy the original nest, by demonology 101, wouldn't the entity then just latch harder onto the attached person?
I mean, a lot of that kind of depends on whether or not, like, how much attachment the entity itself has to that location, right? I mean, it could, but there could also be a bunch of anchors anchoring it to this reality in that home as well. So like, depending on the circumstance, I can see it go either way, but like there are much simpler solutions before. Like, they never think of the simple solutions. They're always just like just the most extreme and inappropriate things.
What I would do if this case fell into my lap, the first thing I would do is I would go to the home. I would go to the original haunting location. I would do a prelim investigation. Then I would obviously have an idea of what I'm dealing with as far as the energy in the home, the contamination in the home. I would do charged water. I would do mantra saturation. I would do energy work. I would essentially hit it with a nuclear bomb. I would totally annihilate the energies in the home. And then I would focus on raising the living, because obviously at this point we're going off the assumption that some people have already died.
Yeah.
Then I would take the living people who are still being affected, and I would focus on removing the attachment from them by doing trauma healing work, raising them out of the vibrational field of this entity's attachment. And I would get them on basically the paranormal 101 basics, charged water,
all of it.
breathing light, all of this. I mean, is there anything else you would add?
I'd probably do something pretty similar, except I've had to account for certain limitations, on my end. So I'd probably do it via video chat. I've done so many high-level clearing and full-on fucking crazy shit, like, via just this way. So, I mean, I'd love to be able to go to the house personally, but I don't always get that luxury.
And if this house was in your neighborhood?
Oh, I'd be there right now. I'd be there right now, whether or not they know I'm there.
Friday the 13th.
Jason Voorhees. Fuck that guy.
That's like a Draugr.
That's like a zombie. It's essentially like it's a zombie. The obvious solution is dismemberment burning.
Yeah, and what I think is also worth accounting for is, by all means, keeping it away from water, and when engaging it, not engaging it anywhere near water, because that's obviously its strong elemental base.
Well, you guys, that speaks to a bigger point. Like, you never, and that even goes to like fighting sports or fighting in combat. You never want a fair fight. You never engage the enemy on their terms. You always engage the enemy on your terms. So you set the ambush, right? You give them a tasty something to look at. Wait for them to slip up, then come behind and fucking, right?
In the case of Jason Voorhees, we're looking at essentially an immortal being.
Sure.
I mean, he's had his head cut off, been stabbed. I mean, anything you throw at him physically, he's survived and he comes back. Countless movies. Now, I do like the aspect of dismemberment and burning.
Yeah.
But what I think would need to happen first would be capturing. And because in the movies, we see it has obviously supernatural strength.
Oh, sure.
You know, would you say in this case, iron chains would be necessary?
Ah, fuck that. I'm fuck that, dude. I'm getting a backhoe and I'm excavating a Vietnam style spike pit, and I'm gonna, like, I'm going all out. Like, I'm making booby traps. I'm fucking making snares in the woods. Like, Hold on, that's someone we both know, and I'm not dealing with him right now. Uh, you never want to engage something like that unless you've already thought out everything beginning to end, especially if he's something like that. So something I'd probably do is I wouldn't trust iron chains. I wouldn't trust them at all. I would trust gravity more than iron chains. So I would probably get some sort of pit or ditch big enough that he unlikely would be able to jump out. I'd probably put some sort of blessed salt in the base of it, and then I would be a scare. I'd probably either find or hire someone I trust, or do it myself, and lure him to the point where he thinks he got me, and then he'd fall into the fucking trap, and then we're gonna fucking douse him with fucking fire, like oil, gasoline, and have a barbecue. That's what I do.
Yeah, but the fire, if we look at even normal cremation, a gasoline fire is not enough to fully burn a body. And because of the immortal physical body, you could burn all this flesh, you could burn all of the muscle. He's still gonna keep coming. He's still gonna keep moving.
No, he's not. Not if I fucking hop in there once he's weakened enough. I'll go in there personally, and I'll handle the rest with a machete.
But if you have a Punji style trap, that's going to be difficult for
Not
you
not
to
not
contend with him and be in the pit.
not with so like you gotta see how I'm seeing it in my head, right? There's not going to be like the bamboo shoots. So essentially, my plan would be the fire at some point would weaken his physical structure enough that I should be able to break his bones with a. This sounds so dark, but this is just how I think. I should. I should be able to break his bones with a hatchet or machete or hammer or sledgehammer of some kind, at least enough to impair his physical movement. If I can do that, then I could potentially start the process of separation. Once I do the separation, then I would have the parts scattered, taken to separate locations. It wouldn't be easy, but it wouldn't be impossible. It would just take a little bit.
What I would do, I think, would be a little bit simpler, because we've seen how he takes blunt force trauma